Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. So today we have a rematch against Enel and Whitebeard. I'm actually going to be piloting the Whitebeard on the right side. So Chase has been trying to figure out a way to beat Enel as Whitebeard. And I think the key is to try to flood the board with as many Marcos and 9-drops as possible. So a hard mulligan here to try to see if I can find any of the pieces. But yeah, Enel wanting to get to the late game and Whitebeard needing to extend or push the game for lethal as soon as possible makes this, I think, naturally Enel sided. So let's see how this matchup goes here. So starting off my 2-Don turn, I drop the Ezo, trying to see if I can find a Marco, and looks like I do. I think actually the blocker Marco might be more valuable in this matchup, just because being able to block his heavy swings is really important. I know I had a second Ezo in hand, but I decided not to use her as a searcher because at this point I already had the Marco in hand, so I wanted to save the Ezo as a life for him. And so Lamb gets into 7 at leader. I opt to take it. I wanted to refill my hand because I wanted to drop the Marco down, and ripping a life allows me to be safe from the Gadatsu play next turn. I still could have gotten hit by Space Luffy, but I think Enel doesn't run 4 of Space Luffys versus 4 of Gadatsus, so I felt a little safer dropping the Marco down there. And then my next turn, dropping another Marco. Fortunate for me, I was able to find both Marcos, popping his Shirahoshi in case he had the Katakuri follow-up. But in his 7-Don turn, starts off with a 7k swing to leader. I think that should be an easy counter here. So Marco being able to block and then revive himself with the Ezo here means that I only have to invest a 1k counter. But Gadatsu coming down, popping the Ezo. And at this point, with 2 life, I'm really put on the clock here. But I try to flood board as much as I can anyways. The reason why I took the life early on as well is because I have a 9-beard in hand. So I think the sweet spot for Whitebeard is just drop to 1 health and then just drop as many 9-beards as you can. And the Marcos being sticky means that the Enel can't remove them very easily. So here I'm deciding whether I want to just start pushing a little bit or developing a wide board. And he only has 2 life, so that means that I can crack in pretty heavy, put him at 0. And that's what I start to do here. So swinging in 6 with the Marco. Looking back, I definitely should have swung with the Marco first and then played the Luffy down, but luckily for me, I didn't get punished for it. Yeah, deciding not to swing in with the Luffy just because he got the disappear trigger, and with the Enel leader ability, he was able to heal back up to 2, so didn't want to waste my resources to swing in and then have him be able to swing into my Luffys. Him being able to swing into Marco is not a big deal because he can just revive himself. So I think that should be an easy counter here. And then Gadatsu probably swinging in at the Marco as well. And then this time I'm going to let him go so that I can use his ability. Instead of wasting a 2k, I can just drop a 1k and bring him back. So yeah, I think Marco is very, very important in this matchup. Being able to protect your bodies on board is invaluable against Enel. So here he drops the Yamato. I think it was a slight misplay for him to actually trigger the You Shall Disappear last turn, just because now his Yamato doesn't get any value. And I do see a Kingdom Come in his hand. Probably felt really bad to have to rip a life in order to use it, so really made his turn awkward here. But yeah, me answering with a 7 and 6, I can get rid of his Gadatsu pretty easily here. And then yeah, the reason why I only swung with the Marco again is because he's able to revive himself if I need him to. And the 9-beard pretty much protects me from getting cracked into heavily. So here I do have a ton of counter in hand. Swinging in with the Marco once again, and then dropping the 9-beard. Yeah, I think here I swung in 8 to put him at 1, just because at most next turn I want him to only be at 2 life max. Looking back, I might have been able to just swing in with my 9-beard as well, force some counter out of his hand, but at the same time I didn't want him to be able to cycle his hand anymore. So yeah, I decided not to swing with the 9-beard here. Passing turn. Still having the Marco blocker up is so important in this matchup, and you'll see why. This Marco is going to be so sticky, he's not going to be able to remove him from the board. And having the Marco blocker as an extra layer of defense means that I'm going to be able to have a full board to swing with next turn. So going into Lamb's 10 Dawn turn here, he could drop another ace. It's actually pretty good for us if he does, because if he drops another ace, we can just swing in super heavy next turn. But dropping the Rygo down, it's pretty good for us as well, because that's basically his whole turn. So he swings in 9 at the Marco. I let him go and then revive him. I think he's the one with the event, and so I pitched the event. I thought he was the Whitebeard, so my mistake on that. But yeah, swinging in 10 to 6, I rad beam to get him back on the field again, and then Yamato swinging in, I'm able to block and ditch a 2k to bring him back. So here I think this is my chance to start swinging in. With only 1 life available, this is definitely the opportune time to go for lethal here. So swinging in 7 gets 2 cards out of his hand. Another 7 actually connects. Him ditching a ace means that he's probably trying to just filter for counters here. I do have a good amount of swings left, so as long as only one of them gets countered out, I should be pretty good here. So he gets a pretty lucky trigger being able to heal 1 more. So at this point, I think if I don't go for game, I die anyways. So I go for 10 and 10, and that is enough to take down the Enel. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please leave a like and subscribe to support the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.